native natives. We got to do what we got to do. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Welcome to Warm Embers, everyone. My name is Tiffany Wolf, and today we have the special guest of Brittany Woods-Orrison. She is a leader, thought leader, culture leader. I absolutely enjoy her. Her insight. Working in digital equity. Um, and she's going to go more into that. So, thank you, Brittany, for being here with me. I appreciate your time and you most of all.
I'm so happy that you're doing this. I think of Tiffany as my auntie because her daughter is one of my close friends and just has fostered such a beautiful community. So I love seeing the aunties doing awesome projects to uplift our communities.
Yes, and that's what our little convo here is all about because we want to talk about you, celebrate you. So, we're going to start out with just some intro questions. Do you have a specific morning routine that you like to start the day with?
I have a dream morning routine that I'm slowly getting back to where I wake up, I drink a bunch of water, I journal. I'm getting really good at journaling my thoughts before bed and then trying to journal my dreams when I wake up. Then
Ooh.
I try to do some type of physical activity, whether it's stretching or going to the gym, and depending if it's a weekday or not, going to work or taking care of whatever needs to be taken care of. Sometimes it's that, and then if I'm traveling or on the go, sometimes I just hop on my phone right away and start messaging and getting the day going. So I just keep it real. Just keep it real with what's happening.
Yes, I love that that's your goal is to journal, but sometimes life gets in the way and we just roll with it. I love that. Because that's truthfully, how it goes. Like I try and meditate and not always happening, You just wake up and get going. I know that you had wrestled and you were very athletic and done a lot in your youth. So can you tell me what is one of your favorite workouts?
Okay, one of my current favorite workouts right now is just doing the traditional native games of the Arctic Circle. All of our indigenous people in so-called Alaska, Greenland, Canada, we have shared sports we've competed in. And so I love participating in our events and training for that. I really love weightlifting right now too. It's just really nice to go to the gym and look really mad and be by myself and listen to aggressive music and just get the day out. So that's the two I go to.
I like weightlifting too because I feel like the stronger you are, the more your body will last. Because I feel like I don't want to be old and feeble, and I know that lifting weights is part of that is your muscle structure. So, yeah, I'm right there with you.
And it impacts your bones positively. And I think it's just so beautiful to witness. And there are a lot of really amazing indigenous women who are going really far with weightlifting too, which is awesome. I think it's just such a counterculture to dieting and being ultra skinny and Eurocentric standards is just moving a bunch of weight.
Yeah, exactly. Because we're not exactly European thinness. My family, we're all very thick, we're very stocky, and we can throw some coal and wood around the women. So
You have to.
yeah, we're not gonna be like wafting anywhere anytime soon. So that's a great point that you bring up. I want to go into your journey in digital equity. So, first of all, can you tell us about digital equity? What does that look like?
Digital equity is having reliable and affordable internet, having the appropriate devices for what you need to do, and having the knowledge to be online safely and having the skills to do what you need to. And this is critical because internet is becoming a public utility. It's where we do our taxes, our banking, education. And in my role, I'm the my official work term or role is broadband specialist. I work for Native Movement in Alaska Public Interest Research Group, or ACPERG for short. They are two amazing nonprofits that are statewide working on a wide variety of issues, and they created this role because it was impacting everything else they do. They work on economic justice, energy justice, missing murdered Indigenous women, language access, all these things. And they were reaching these roadblocks of people not being able to go online or not being able to vote for whatever it was, getting tied back to the internet. So they created this role, they got a grant for it, and they had me focus on education, networking, and policy. And it's been a whirlwind since, because the federal government announced billions of dollars for internet 3 months after I was hired. And so I've just been going 100 miles per hour since.
Oh my gosh, that is a monumental task. Like, how inspiring for communication. Um, in the a lot of Res doesn't have the best internet, and probably the villages too. So taking that on is amazing, especially at your young age. So well done. That's why you're here. You're so inspiring. So during your journey, can you tell me about a pivotal moment that kind of shaped your path to where you're at now?
Yeah. You brought up, I wrestled in college, and that's where I became connected with your daughter, Najoni. Love her. Shout outs, the family of excellence. I was in college. I was one of the only Alaska natives, and one of the only natives really. Shout out, my Pacific Islander community was strong there, so we connected. But I just had this commitment to serving our peoples, and that got me connected to, like, me and Najoni have this network of people we met online, and it's so interesting how we have these like online friends we deepen relationships with, and how Native people just will find friends everywhere, right? And so I made it through college. I was living in the Bay, and then I decided to leave, and I didn't know what I was going to do next. I was like, I can go anywhere, I can do anything, uh, but I don't want to compromise anymore. I want to fully be a community member for my community. I want to be the Indigenous auntie I've always dreamed of. I still want to have these hobbies of like athleticism and other interests I've had that I hadn't gone into yet. And so I just reached out to my community and was like, hey, I want to drive around. I have like savings, and I want to like find out what's next for me. And so I knew months in advance before I like left my job and started going, but it took a lot of planning, and it was that foundation of knowing what I wanted, and committing. I'm just gonna keep saying committing, 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 and planning it out, because what do they say? Overnight success takes 15 years or whatever time frame you
Oh,
want. So
yes, that's so true.
So
Okay.
I've known for a long time, like I think when I was single digit ages, I've always wanted to serve my community, and I just wanted to tackle these issues and also revitalize our culture, and I wanted to learn all these things. And so I've that's always what it's been about. And so it's unveiled itself in all these amazing ways that have brought me here now.
I like that you have known since you were a little one that you want to serve your community. And that's such a beautiful goal because not all of us have that or are afforded that, because sometimes people just kind of jump up and have to get a job. And then from there, they just work the next 50 years, and just not really being able to explore or give back to the community. The fact that you're doing that and identified that is awesome. Okay, so creativity often plays a role in especially in your journey, like the fact that you went on this winding road. So, can you tell us about a project or initiative where you're able to infuse cultural heritage and unique perspective to solve a problem?
I will say an interesting time this happened. So it was really early in my career. I was still on my road trip in the continental US. In Alaska, we call it the lower 48.
Okay.
So I was in the lower 48, and I had started my career, and I needed to go back home to Alaska, which was the first time since the lockdown happened. So I was like so excited, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna do this. And then I was like, oh, I'll extend my ticket for 3 months so I can go to these events since I've been gone. And then I just kept extending it in my head. And I was like, oh, I think I'm just going to move back home. And I did. And I want to credit the Just Transition Collective in Alaska. Both my orgs are part of it. And it's the vision of changing an extractive economy to a regenerative, renewable economy. So I flew back and I had my meetings, and we were having our one of our all staff meetings at the Yakuik, which is a Tlingit gathering celebration of a sort. And so we just had our Native Movement all staff meeting at this traditional gathering, and we're partners with the herring protectors, and so even ending up in this career was like such a beautiful journey in itself, and was that commitment to my community. And then I just that is so much of my work now, and my organizations really allow me to do these things. And we have um ceremonial leave, even where if we have to do ceremony, that's separate than our PTO, that's separate than like our sick days. And so that was like my first week being back. And then so I'm in Sitka or Shitka Kwan. Then I go home to Fairbanks on Lower Tana Dené lands. And then I think maybe a week or so after being home, they're like, hey, we're gonna go shoot this film for the Just Transition Collective about broadband, and we're going to show digital equity and tribes trying to get their own technology. And so it's like a merging of all worlds, because it was like the orgs I'm working on. I had just really gotten into filmmaking at this point, and then I was actually on the film itself talking about what I've learned and all this. And so it's definitely about who you're around. And there's also the saying, should if you want to know who you are, look at the 5 people you spend the most time with. And
Yes.
so I say that's like such a reflection of my life, whatever I'm working on. If you look at who's around me, they totally enable me. They support me. They like help me merge all these worlds together and not like force me into any binaries or you have to do it this way. It's always been done this way.
Mhm.
I just mix and match everything I want to do together.
I absolutely agree with the um thought process of the 5 people around you. You're the sum total of the 5 people around you. And that's why I think we sometimes have to get outside of our um original network. You can still keep them, but at least surround yourself. So one of the barriers or to a money mindset for me, what because I grew up in like poverty, and so when I started hanging around with my friends who had money, I started to understand that there was another way of thought. So I was like, okay, I see that these people have like a ease, and I was able to kind of adopt that mindset and that I wasn't as stressed. So even though like I worked hard and I would do, savings, work extra gigs, do things on the side. It always seemed like something would show up like, oh, now my car needs tires. So that would set me back. Or, oh, my dog just got attacked by the other res dogs. I have to pay the vet bill. That would set me back. But then once I started kind of manifesting and understanding and knowing that there's another way of thinking and looking at projects on money, just the way that I live, it really opened that up. So I think being around different sets of people exposes you to new ways of thought. So that's really helpful. And the fact that you're out there talking and networking with all these different people, that's key because I think that we're able to reach out. And one of the strategies in my business class is that you yap about all the projects you're trying to do to everyone, because at some point someone's going to say, oh, I have a connection for you, or oh, I know somebody who's trying to look to fund a project like that, or something that's going to help you along your way. I didn't grow up that way. I grew up more like kind of keep it to yourself, or if you're going to do something you got to bootstrap it. And do it alone, but really we are community based. To reach out and talk to everybody about your project, I think is really beneficial. That's just exactly what you're explaining, and that's
Yeah.
perfect.
I what's coming to mind is abundance versus scarcity mindset, and capitalism is scarcity mindset. You have to be independent, you have to live alone, you have to uh take everything you can, you have to extract as much. And abundance is there's enough for everyone. We
Mhm.
all can thrive together, and our indigenous communities practice that so much. In Alaska, we have potlatches to celebrate people's life or celebrate events that happen, the seasons changing. And the key component of it is you give away in our community. We give away guns, we give away beads, pelts, all of these different things, earrings, blankets,
Uh-huh.
really valuable things. And it's so critical to do that too, because on you see it all the time with indigenous people on social media. I've done this myself too, where we get into a tight financial spot and natives will crowdfund in the coolest ways. And sometimes too, I've done earring raffles, I've done sticker packs. I've had my family, whenever we have to fundraise for medical or funerals, especially, that's in our community. Oh man, my family gets together and brings one of our last giveaways. I remember we had like mucklucks, a gun, airline miles. It was 20 people deep donating
Uh-huh.
items to raffle, and it's thousands of dollars of worth of money. And that's how we have to not only survive the current system when we are in, but thrive, and how we've traditionally done it anyway. We measure our quote unquote wealth by how much we give. And so money comes and goes, but those community relationships. And I'm getting to this point in my life too. Well, first off, so many people have given me opportunities, and because I've showed up in places and like, yes, I'm this Alaska Native. I'm here in California doing school, or I'm here in Texas for this conference, and just like leading with my community first, like I'm Koyukon Dené. And people have brought me to whole new realms that I would have never dreamed of. And I'm getting to that point too. I'm like turning into auntie status, where I'm like, tell me what you're interested in and what you want to do. And I know people who are in this, and I always, I can never confirm anything, and I don't know what capacity of I have or others that I'm thinking of, but I'm like, I would really love to connect you. And if you need like an outline or an idea or what it takes, or here's this thing I read, that I'm getting to that point in my life.
Connection, is key. It's critical in being success. I like that you said capitalism is scarcity mindset, because it is, but I never thought about it like that. I mean, I know it's bad. I have my own gripes, but to see it from that perspective, it's like, oh, like, wow, you're right. And I also liked where you discussed ceremonial leave. So I had a phone call with a relative, and she was trying to take time off for a ceremony for her daughter, but within the corporate, even though I think she works for a tribe, but the corporate structure, she had to justify, like, "I need this extra time off," and she was trying to write a letter, and I was like, "This is so weird that you have to do this," but it's something I don't even think I don't know. If I was out of PTO, I think I'd have to go to the bank that they have there or something, but I love that they have ceremonial leave because that's just so important. I wish a lot of companies had that. And this is the first time I've ever heard of it, and now I'm gonna yap about it until they're gonna get it too, like.
Yeah, we have a 4-day work week as well at Native Movement, and they fiscally sponsor other orgs that do 4-day work weeks. And um the other org I'm a part of, they piloted it last summer and they're going to do it again. There's a lot of studies to show it's better. And you know as I feel especially younger people just really know what they want, and we fight for our time, our most valuable time. Yeah, yap about the 4-day work week,
Yes,
yap about
that
ceremonial
too.
leave.
Oh, I love that. Okay. Okay, back to our question. So we're gonna shift gears because you are so multifaceted, as we're gonna find out here. That you are earth shaker, a move maker, and you've also been featured in Vogue, which to me is just like, because growing up,
Mhm,
um, there were no natives in fashion magazines, so I've always loved fashion. I'm like fashion girly. I when I was a child or teenager, young adult, always would buy the magazines. Always looking for brown-eyed, brown hair, like tan skin person. Like, are they native? Like, no, they're from Italy, or no, they're, So there was never any indigenous people in the magazines when I grew up.
mhm.
And then the actors and actresses, I think Tantu Cardinal was one of the first that I like native, like, but the fact that you were in Vogue to me is just like, oh my God, that's so amazing. So tell me about um how has that recognition impacted your personal and professional journey? Especially representing indigenous people, native people. So I mean, I think it's such a big deal.
Yeah, and I want to start from a young age again. I feel like natives, we have to tell the front story, backstory, side story.
Yes.
But same, I was a child during the early 2000s, which was such a horrifying time to be like a BIPOC femme growing up. It was the fat phobia and Eurocentric beauty standards. And I grew up as a chunky elementary school to middle schooler, which is like such a big part of your identity for a long time. And, it still sticks with me. I will say I made it through those times with so many happy memories because I went to a predominantly native school, and I just really knew my purpose and culture, and, had these fundamental identity things down. And but I didn't see it reflected in the bigger picture of things. And I'm like learning how to tell this story of getting into Vogue. I will say I always have to shout out the Tokala family. It's a Tokala project. So Carlos is the photographer, Tomas is like the creative person of it all, and then Marcus was the stylist. And they've all had this long founded relationship, and they all have these careers working in this fashion industry, and they wanted to bring it back to people on the front lines, which is such a heroic thing for them to do. Such a beautiful, creative, I passionate, iconic idea. And so they've went to 10 locations total. They actually had tried to go to Alaska before winter, but they just were not able to like connect to people up here. And in Alaska, if we like don't meet in person, we kind of don't trust you. You have to be face to face. And so they got connected with my cousin Rodney beforehand, and then they connected with one person, and one person like turned into five, turned into 20. Because once you're in and kind of like stamp of approval by another Indigenous person, they're like, oh, and we love sharing opportunities too, and then who they're connecting with. So they're talking to all these people, and they ended up actually choosing my friend, and she wasn't ready to share her story yet. And this was in the group chat. We're like, no, like do it. And even me, I was like, being on that editorial level of a set and working with people at that level, like it's gonna be amazing. And she's like, no, I'm very confident in my choice, and I'll put your names forward. And I was like, what? So I had an interview, and like for me, I just want to talk about my really unorthodox life path and untraditional how I've like moved through the world in a way. and be connected with people who are doing all this cool work. So I did that, I had that meeting, and I was like, oh, okay, here's like five other people you can talk to, not thinking much of it. Then they ended up choosing me for the project. I was like, oh wow. So yeah, the time for like talking to them to start planning it, and I'm really happy Alaska was last because we were the final boss of logistics, and thankfully me and my cousin had each other along with our community once we told everyone. And I just want to highlight, the three of them, they traveled from Colorado and California, and I forget where else, but they flew essentially 12 hours. Then they drove for 3 hours and boat on the Yukon River for 2 hours to get to Dleł Taaneets, or Rampart, Alaska, as it's Englishly known. And that was one way. And they did that with these expensive clothes. And then they also were like working with us to, it was funny. We were Airbnb-ing, quote unquote, our auntie's house, and renting one of the village trucks and doing all this. And they really like, how do we incorporate what you have? And so I brought probably like a third of all my jewelry I own. It's like, I just want anything. And I was like, I'm gonna bring as many artists with me. And then my cousin did similarly. And so we had this project where, we named so many of our family members who supported the project and got us places. And then we had all of these indigenous designers and highlighted our community. It was cool talking about with people because me and Rodney, we both are filmmakers and we both do photography. And we're like, we've always known Dleł Taaneets is a beautiful place, and we've always known the Yukon River was worth this platform, and then just to have it manifest into real life. And wanting to continue to highlight where we have our little Tokala family now, and we keep up with each other through messages. And when you have such a pure project, when the intentions are so wholesome, the people you bring together with true dedicated work will always shine through. And we ended up going to New York, Lenape lands, to have a in-person uh, gallery at this bougie museum. They had the connects and they got us into this bougie museum. And immediately upon meeting each other, it was all love. It was immediate connections. It was so dear to the heart. And so I just want to keep uplifting that. Like when you do something with with the true knowledge of purpose and like grounded and yourself and your community, and you have like those true lifelong comrades, accomplices, friends, gana, or how we say friend in Danakanaga. Even if the project doesn't go as planned, like you're going to get where you need to. And I will say it's still, I like laugh when people are like, oh, you were in Vogue. And I'm like, haha, yeah. I'm just like in disbelief. And like how to just be like, whoa, it's reached places I wouldn't have thought. So I've like traveled to a few different places in Alaska, and people have recognized me. And I uplifted even people from my digital equity world, some organizations, and they, oh my goodness, they put it on their like listserv with thousands of people, and they have monthly meetings, and they asked me to just like share briefly about it. And everyone was just so happy. And it's like, you can make this work beautiful. You can, you know, when you bring more people in, it just really is more abundant and like not trying to keep it to ourselves. And so I think that the impacts is still unfolding. I definitely will say it's just like, uplifting. We have so much phenomenal art in our community. We have unreal stories to tell. It's worth investing money to go to people where they're at, and not like going into studio and
Mhm.
putting like, go to the places and learn these stories. There's so much value there.
Yes, that one photo with the ATV and you guys were standing, I think it was in the snow, right? Was it in the snow? It was the
It
18
was
in the wood
yeah,
park?
the four-wheeler.
Yeah, I loved that so much. It just resonated, brought me joy because I'm like, yes, I know, that is speaking to me because I know that, like it just was so cool. And to be in Vogue, which is such like a iconic magazine. It's just amazing. And everything you said right now, amazing. Yeah, that's why we have you on as a guest because you're bringing so much value. You are so awesome. Okay, so tell me, what is a favorite fashion trend right now that you're seeing?
I want to say my favorite fashion trend is people wearing pre-colonial clothes in more quote unquote regular places. And so that's been a mission of mine to I lobbied in DC for the first time and I lobbied in the state office and I wore like our traditional Betsahulan, what we call it's like kind of a tunic with a big pocket. It's really
Oh,
known in
yes.
Alaska.
I love
Yeah,
that.
the
Yeah.
tikalik, the kuspuk.
Uh-huh.
So I was wearing that, and then I have a friend who's Maya Yucateca, indigenous to Mexico, and I bought dresses down there that I wore to conferences. And whenever I meet up with my friends here, we represent a wide range of cultures and tribes globally. And so I just get excited seeing them every day. Or whenever we meet up, I'm like, what earrings are they gonna wear? What shirt, what message, what culture are they carrying? And when I travel, I get excited at, yeah, just like all these spaces are becoming more indigenous. And, I mean, indigenous broadly, like you're from the land. So I'm thinking Africa, I'm thinking Southeast Asia, all Pacific Islands, everywhere. So that's my favorite fashion trend right now.
Yes, I always try to incorporate something like I wore my camp dress with ribbons to my art gala thing and with the vest over it, and then the traditional belt and then regular shoes, to make it look like it fits in. Because I think you're right. We need to take up space in these pieces and show that we can wear it. I remember a few years ago, I was asking my friends, like, why don't we wear our regalia out, every day, go shopping in it. And so I have a friend from who's Indian descent from India, and they have the sari, I think it's called. Anyways, I was asking
Hmm.
her, I was like, how come you don't wear your outfits? And she was like, oh no, we only wear it for special occasions. And I was like, yeah, I feel like that's what we do too, but it's like, why don't we wear it more like every day? Like activities, but I love that you guys are bringing that out because that's where we're taking up space and showing people who we are. Okay, we're gonna take a break because I have 1 minute left. But everything is so good. It's like we're gonna go probably an hour. So